The story of the 2026 Cloudcrest helicopter begins long before the aircraft ever touched American skies. To understand why this machine has become one of the most talked about helicopters of the decade, you have to look at the state of aviation innovation in the early 2020s. The United States was coming out of a period where rotorcraft development had slowed, military procurement cycles felt sluggish, and civilian operators were stuck choosing between older, refurbished airframes or expensive imports. At the same time, demand for multi-purpose aircraft was growing. Wildfire seasons were getting longer across the West, medical evacuation networks needed speed and range improvements, and search and rescue sectors were calling for something more efficient, more reliable, and more adaptable. Into that environment arrived a concept that the aviation community would soon know as the Cloudcrest. When early design leaks circulated online around 2024, enthusiasts assumed it was a prototype for an unmanned craft, partly because its profile was unfamiliar. What people didn't understand then was that Cloudcrest Aerospace had been quietly combining emerging rotorcraft research with next-generation hybrid propulsion systems. Their goal wasn't simply to build another helicopter, it was to create a platform that could bridge the gap between traditional rotary aviation and the transitional era of electric and hybrid flight. The United States had invested heavily in carbon reduction initiatives for aviation, especially for domestic operators, and Cloudcrest's engineers seized the opportunity to align performance with environmental responsibility. By the time the 2026 model was formally announced, expectations were sky high. The final design turned out to be a bold combination of practicality and beauty. At a glance, the 2026 Cloudcrest looks futuristic without straying into science fiction territory. The airframe uses a composite shell that sharply reduces weight while increasing durability, and its aerodynamic shaping cuts drag more effectively than earlier hybrid helicopter bodies. One of the biggest surprises is the semi-blended rotor hub, which allows the helicopter to transition more smoothly into forward flight. Pilots who have been lucky enough to test the aircraft describe the sensation not as flying a traditional helicopter, but as something between a tilt rotor and a high-efficiency rotorcraft, though the Cloudcrest doesn't tilt at all. The secret is the hybrid powertrain. The heart of the 2026 Cloudcrest is its dual-source propulsion system. The first source is a high-efficiency turboshaft engine designed to provide strong, consistent lift during takeoff, landing, and heavy load operations. The second source is a bank of electric motors drawing from a liquid-cooled battery pack positioned beneath the cabin floor. The real magic happens when both systems work together. Rather than trying to behave like a fully electric aircraft, which would limit range, or a purely combustion-based helicopter, which would sacrifice efficiency, the Cloudcrest integrates both power sources to optimize each stage of flight. During climb, the turboshaft takes the lead while the electric motors supplement power to maintain rotor RPM stability. In cruise, the electric motors handle the majority of the workload, letting the turboshaft idle at reduced consumption. The result is significantly longer range, lower fuel burn, and quieter operation. For American operators flying over populated areas, that reduced noise signature is a major advantage. Inside the cockpit, the Cloudcrest shows its next-generation character even more clearly. Cloudcrest Aerospace developed a new interface system called Horizon Line, which uses a curved panoramic display that blends navigation, instrument readings, terrain awareness, and optional augmented reality overlays. The United States aviation regulators had begun promoting enhanced situational awareness systems after several high-profile incidents involving reduced visibility conditions, and Horizon Line appears to be a direct response to those safety priorities. Pilots can overlay real-time obstacle markers onto their natural field of view using helmet-integrated AR, allowing them to make split-second decisions even in challenging environments like wildfire smoke or urban rescue corridors. There is also a semi-autonomous stability assist mode that handles micro-adjustments during hover, making tasks such as hoist operations or rooftop landings far easier. But the cabin is where the 2026 Cloudcrest has truly won over American civilian operators. It offers a modular interior that can be converted rapidly between configurations. In air ambulance mode, the cabin fits 2 stretchers with room left for medical staff and equipment racks. In transport mode, it carries up to 9 passengers with enlarged windows offering wide visibility, a detail that tourism operators in Hawaii and Alaska have expressed excitement about. In utility mode, The aircraft provides anchor points for cargo nets, sensor equipment, or firefighting gear. Cloudcrest has also introduced a quiet cabin technology package that uses active vibration dampening and acoustic shaping to make passenger flights dramatically more comfortable than older turbine helicopters. This feature alone is likely to influence corporate transport operators who have been searching for quieter options with lower operating costs. One of the factors that sets the 2026 Cloudcrest apart in the United States is its unique range profile. Traditional helicopters in its weight class rarely exceed 350 miles of effective range under load, but the Cloudcrest manages over 500 miles thanks to hybrid optimization. In search and rescue operations in states like Montana, Alaska, and Idaho, that extra distance can mean the difference between mission success and a forced return to refuel. The hybrid system also allows for short bursts of silent flight using electric-only mode, something law enforcement agencies have noted as a strategic advantage for nighttime operations. Even wildlife researchers have indicated interest in using the silent approach capability to study animals with minimal disruption. A major reason aviation analysts predict success for the helicopter in the United States is its maintainability. Cloudcrest Aerospace engineered the 2026 model with modular component access in mind. Instead of burying wiring systems and hydraulic lines deep inside inaccessible compartments, the company designed sections of the airframe to open like panels on a well-organized machine. Technicians can access, replace, or update key components without the long downtimes normally associated with rotorcraft maintenance. The hybrid powertrain also reduces wear on the turboshaft engine, which means longer times between overhauls and lower lifetime costs. That lower operating cost profile is especially appealing to state agencies managing budgets for wildfire response and emergency rescue. Of course, no aircraft earns public trust just from its technology. It has to perform under pressure. Early trial operations in the American Southwest showed the Cloudcrest's ability to handle extreme temperatures while maintaining lift efficiency. Engineers attribute this to the improved rotor blade structure, which uses heat-resistant composite layering and adaptive leading-edge geometry. In simulated high-altitude operations, the helicopter outperforms several well-known models, showing stronger climb performance and better endurance in thinner air. For American operators who frequently work around the Rocky Mountains, this characteristic is not just convenient, it is essential. Another aspect that deserves attention is the helicopter's safety record during testing. Cloudcrest Aerospace integrated a full airframe emergency landing system designed specifically for hybrid rotorcraft. Though the helicopter can't deploy a full parachute system the way ultralight aircraft can, it does use a glide assist and auto-rotation optimizer that manages rotor pitch and power distribution in an emergency. Pilots who have trained in this mode report that the helicopter feels unusually stable during controlled descent, even for pilots with less rotorcraft experience. For the United States, where pilot shortages have affected emergency and utility operators, this added safety margin is extremely valuable. The public reception has also been shaped by the helicopter's environmental profile. In recent years, several states have passed stricter emissions guidelines for aircraft operating in certain protected regions. Hybrid propulsion gives the Cloudcrest a significant advantage because it can reduce overall emissions without compromising power. Several national parks have expressed interest in using the aircraft for wildlife monitoring and rapid response efforts, provided it meets noise and emissions thresholds. The Cloudcrest seems poised to satisfy both requirements. Having a rotorcraft that can approach sensitive areas without disturbing wildlife or visitors gives federal and state agencies far more flexibility in planning operations. The economics behind the 2026 Cloudcrest are just as compelling. While the aircraft is not inexpensive, estimates place it at the upper end of the midsize helicopter market. Analysts note that its lifetime operating costs are substantially lower. Hybrid power reduces fuel consumption, maintenance cycles are more spaced out, and components are built for longer service life. In the United States, where government agencies often evaluate aircraft purchases through long-term total cost of ownership models, this can give Cloudcrest the edge over competing imports or older airframes. Several private medical operators have already indicated that taking on a few Cloudcrest models may allow them to retire aging fleets sooner than expected. On the cultural side, aviation enthusiasts across the United States have shown almost surprising enthusiasm. Social media discussions reveal a mix of fascination, pride, and speculation. Some enthusiasts compare the Cloudcrest to transformative helicopters like the Black Hawk or Bell 407, though those comparisons are more historical than technical. The excitement stems from the idea that the American aviation industry is entering a new chapter. Hybrid aircraft represent a shift in how people think about flight, moving away from dependence on traditional fuels, reducing environmental impact, and embracing advanced digital interfaces that make flying safer and more intuitive. What truly makes the 2026 Cloudcrest stand out, though, is the way it signals a different relationship between pilots and their aircraft. In older helicopters, pilots often describe the experience as a constant balancing act, a delicate coordination of manual control and instinct. With the Cloudcrest, pilots describe something more collaborative. The aircraft feels responsive, almost predictive, smoothing out micro instabilities and offering suggestions through the horizon line interface. Instead of stripping pilots of control, it empowers them with better information and smoother handling. This philosophy aligns with the direction aviation in the United States has been heading for years: greater safety, greater efficiency, and more intelligent systems supporting human judgment. The 2026 Cloudcrest helicopter isn't just a new model. It represents a moment in American aviation where innovation has become a necessity rather than an option. It arrives at a time when the United States needs aircraft that can tackle climate-driven challenges, expand rescue capabilities, support rural medical networks, and provide cost-effective solutions for agencies working with limited budgets. It arrives with the technological maturity to handle diverse missions and the engineering sophistication to push the rotorcraft industry into a new era. Whether it's soaring above the thick smoke of a California wildfire, cutting across Alaskan terrain to reach stranded hikers, ferrying passengers between remote mountain towns, or silently observing wildlife at dawn, the Cloudcrest is poised to become one of the defining helicopters of its time. When future aviation historians look back on the evolution of rotorcraft in the 2020s and 2030s, the Cloudcrest will likely be remembered as a milestone, one that blended sustainability with strength, advanced systems with human skill, and futuristic design with real-world American needs. The 2026 Cloudcrest may have started as an ambitious engineering experiment, but in the skies over the United States, it has already begun to prove itself as an aircraft with purpose, versatility, and a vision of what the future of flight can look like.